Можешь.
Нет, не могу. Мы можем вместе ходить и договориться, где мы нам.
Найдем. Это маленько.
Мы здесь не будем проводить целый век. У нас еще есть что посмотреть.
Ты недовольна?
Но я не буду за тобой бегать, понимаешь? Я не хочу за тобой бегать.
Надо, зайчка.
Я люблю.
Бегать. Бегать надо. А,
Повернись ко мне, скажи, что ты меня слышишь.
я тебя слышу.
Что я сказала?
Будем ходить и встретимся, никуда не денемся.
Нет, я не сказала никуда не денемся. Я сказала, будем ходить по номерам. Иначе я никогда тебя здесь не найду.
Вот скажи в камеру все, что думаешь.
Хочу получить удовольствие, а не искать, где здесь зая торчит.
А что, ты без меня не можешь получить удовольствие? Без меня не можешь получить
Как
удовольствие?
мы встретимся потом?
Как? Найдем друг друга.
Во сколько?
Не знаю.
Так я тебе говорю, я еще хочу посмотреть кое-что. И на круиз успеть. Уже 12 час.
Не бегай. Я веду съемки.
Номер 5. Номер 4. Как сделал? Номер 4.
Stop 4. Chapel of Germany. The Chapel of the Long of Germany was dedicated to the Epiphany and included knights not only from Germany but also from Austria, Norway, Sweden, Denmark and the Netherlands. The paintings you can see hanging in this chapel all date to the late 17th century and are typical of the Baroque style. They are the work of the Maltese artist Stefano Erardi, who came from a family of well-known local artists. The altarpiece depicts the adoration of the Magi. This is the moment when, according to the Bible, the three wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, guided by a bright star to the place of Christ's birth. The delicate decorative effects, such as the group of angels, give it a most pleasing effect. The semicircular paintings in the lunettes high above the passageways depict, on your left, the Nativity of Christ, and on the right, the massacre of the innocent. Look at the walls and observe the intricate designs carved into the soft Maltese stone, showing various types of weapons. They are symbolic of the military role of the order. The double-headed eagle is the emblem of the German law.
Era per lavoro.
La chiesa fu fatta dal 1563 al 1973.
Не понимаю, то есть написано no flash, люди не понимают. Туповатые люди. Номер 6.
Stop 6. The Chapel of the Italian Long. The Chapel of the Long of Italy is dedicated to St. Catherine of Alexandria, the patron saint of the Italian Knights. The decoration of this chapel was made at the personal expense of Fra Francesco Silos. He was ambassador to the Viceroy of Sicily. The altarpiece portrays the mystic marriage of St. Catherine and is the work of Mattia Preti, whilst the lunettes depict, on the left, St. Catherine disputing with the philosophers, and on the right, the martyrdom of St. Catherine. Beneath this lunette is a copy of the original painting depicting St. Jerome by Caravaggio. The original is in the oratory for conservation reasons. You will hear more about this painting when you enter the oratory. The monument on your right is dedicated to Grand Master Gregorio Carafa, who reigned from 1680 to 1690. It is composed of polychrome marble depicting intricate designs of several war trophies. The bronze bust in the centre is the portrait of the Grand Master. It is accompanied by two young angels, one of which crushes a turban under its foot and the other a skull. In the background, two other angels are drawing back curtains, revealing a battle scene in polychrome marble. This is the Battle of the Dardanelles, fought in 1656, in which Carafa played a leading role. The inner walls of the arches are decorated with exquisite forms of acanthus leaves as a reference to the grandeur of classical antiquity, whilst garlands of fruit are a symbol of the Grand Master's bountiful reign. The double-headed eagle is a sign of majesty of the Spanish crown. The RC motifs are a direct reference to Grand Master Raphael Cotoner. Carved in the central medallion is a lion, a motif from Grand Master Lacassiere's coat of arms, accompanied by the date 1576. The floor of the chapel is lined with richly inlaid marble tombstones that date to the 17th and 18th centuries. Some of the most distinguished knights of the Italian long are commemorated here. Among them are Fra Ippolito Malaspina, a patron of Caravaggio. The chapel has been recently cleaned and restored. Beyond this point, there are the Grand Master's crypt and another two chapels, those dedicated to the Langue of France and Provence, and the Chapel of the Holy Relics, which is also the chapel of the Anglo-Bavarian Langue. They are currently closed for conservation. You can read about them in the guidebook. Now walk towards the high altar and stand in the centre near the balustrades.
Это какой номер?
Глупая итальянка сказала 5 раз. Уже на итальянском. Не используй свой флеш. Так, здесь нет ни 7-го, ни 8-го. Пробуем 9-го. Наверное, 10-й.
No flash. Это?
10, да.
Это?
Stop 10. The sanctuary. This area you see behind the balustrades is a sacred place and is the focal point of the church as it holds the high altar. It has been enriched with several gifts from Grand Masters and knights alike. Look up at the solid silver lamp held by two angels. It is a perfect example of the extravagant Baroque style, reflecting the grandeur of the order during the 17th century. This rare treasure was the gift of the knight Fra Rospigliosi in 1669. The high altar you see in the center of the sanctuary is a masterpiece in rare marble and was the gift of Grand Master Carafa. The frieze running across the altar is backed with lapis lazuli and holds the symbols of the four evangelists, whilst a set of keys is included as the attribute of St. Peter and the codex and sword attributes of St. Paul. The central motif depicts the Last Supper. The Grand Master's crypt is just below the sanctuary, and the first 12 Grand Masters who reigned in Malta are buried there. The tomb of Grand Master Jean de la Cassière, during whose reign the church was built, is symbolically placed immediately beneath the high altar. The large figures depicting the baptism of Christ by John the Baptist in the apse behind the high altar are the focal point of the sanctuary. The act of baptism is of great significance to the Christian faith, as it is the act of conversion and cleansing of the soul. This sculptural group was carved by Giuseppe Mazzuoli, a leading sculptor in Rome, and shipped to Malta in 1700. The dramatic yet graceful gestures are typical of the high Baroque style. Kindly proceed towards the next chapel. There are two more chapels further to the right. These are the chapels dedicated to the Long of Auvergne and the chapel dedicated to the Madonna of Philemos. This area is reserved for prayer only. You may read more about them in the guidebook.
Почему не хотят флеш? Думаю, что отсветится?
Ну, потому что высвечивается краска.
Ну, тогда надо какой-то защитный механизм.
Прийти, сфотографировать здесь и все. И все будут довольны, если не понимают. Это 11.
Нету такого.
Нет, 13, зайчик, там номер стоит.
Stop 13. The chapel. This is one of the most magnificent and richly embellished chapels in the church. It is dedicated to St. George, the patron saint of the Aragonese Knights. The Long of Aragon consisted of the Priory of Catalonia and that of Navarre. The altarpiece is not only Mattia Preti's first work in this church, but also one of the most outstanding. It was commissioned by Grand Master Martin de Redin in 1659. The painting depicts St. George riding a white stallion, having just slain the dragon. The rich palette and use of opulent colours is typical of Preti's style and the high Baroque fashion of the late 17th century. We can clearly see that St. George is representing the chivalry of the Aragonese Knights. The little angel on the left holds the flag of the Aragonese Long. The lunettes on either side of the chapel are also works by Mattia Preti and show scenes from the life of St. Lawrence. On your left, there is St. Lawrence at the moment of his martyrdom, as he is tied to an iron gridiron and burned, while the other shows St. Lawrence meeting Pope Sixtus III. Beneath these two paintings are two more paintings. On your left is St. Francis Xavier, and on your right, St. Firminus, protector of Navarre. The main arch at the entrance of the chapel is adorned with palms and laurels, symbols of peace and victory. They display angels frolicking amongst some of the most exquisite designs of foliage and garlands. The chapel has 4 Grand Masters buried here. As you face the altar, the first monument to your left, closest to the altar, is that of Grand Master de Redin, who reigned from 1657 to 1660, and opposite that of Grand Master Raphael Cotoner, who reigned from 1660 to 1663. Both monuments are sober in character and conservative in design. Grand Master